Hi everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today I want to share with you this hunting boot. This is the Under Armour HOVR Dawn waterproof hunting boot. In this video I'll share with you why I chose this particular boot, my experience with this boot, and some pros and cons of this hunting boot. So why I chose this particular boot. Before we went on our elk hunt last year, our archery early season elk hunt in Colorado, I was kind of needing a last minute boot, and I had a gift card to the local outdoor store, so I kind of ran in there just to see what they had. Last few years I've been running for early season. I usually just run like a Morel hiking boot. Pretty much wore it out. It was coming apart, so I just kind of needed something pretty quick. So I went in there and I saw this boot, and right off the bat I was like, man, that's a pretty cool looking boot. Almost looked like a sneaker, but I just didn't have experience with this boot or didn't know much about it. I was like, yeah, I'll try it on, and I'll tell you what, right out of the box, I mean, this thing felt like I was putting on a sneaker. Probably the most comfortable boot right out of the box that I've ever put on. This is the most comfortable boot that I've wore, period. Walked around the store in this boot, and yeah, I was like, I'll take them. They were just super comfortable, and like I said, I had a gift card, and I paid way under price for them. So if you've seen some of my other reviews, you know that I like something that's versatile. I only go out west once a year for a week. You know, I want something I can use throughout the year, not just not something I can just use for hunting out west, something I come back to Oklahoma and use for whitetail hunting, hiking, work, and I can do that with this boot. That's why I chose this particular boot. That's just what caught my attention is, man, they look cool, which, I mean, that ain't a big factor to me, but they just caught my eye, and as soon as I put them on, I mean, they were super comfortable. So my experience with this boot, so I've had this boot a year now. I mean, at the bare minimum, I know I have 100 miles in these with a pack on. Before I went to the mountains, I trained with this quite a bit, pretty much every day with a pack on. And then we went on our archery elk hunt, which was a week, early September, Colorado, backcountry DIY elk hunt. I will put a link in the description of that hunt. That way you can get an idea of what kind of terrain and how these boots performed and get an idea of what we were walking through and what kind of hunting we were doing. I've wore these, like I said, out west. I've worn them to whitetail hunting. I've worn them just hiking with the family, and I wear them to work because I got a pair of muck boots, and the muck boots are great, but they're heavy and they're bulky, and they get hot in the summer, and I don't feel like wearing them a lot, and I work outside, and so I wear these to work a lot, especially when it's raining. But yeah, it's a very versatile boot. That's kind of my experience with a boot. So my thoughts on this boot. Pros, like I said, it's a comfortable boot. Most comfortable boot that I've put on. It's waterproof, which was a big plus when purchasing these. My feet stay dry. My feet have never got wet in these. I've seen on the reviews where some people are like, these aren't waterproof. This particular pair, they kept my feet dry the whole time we were in Colorado, and I was walking through streams, rain, dew. Now I also ran some gaiters, some outdoor research gaiters. I'll put a link in the description of the review that we did over those gaiters. I really like them. But I wore those gaiters with this boot and a merino wool sock, and my feet were dry the whole time. Like I said, they're comfortable, no hot spots, waterproof, they're lightweight, they're versatile, very versatile. They're almost like a pair of sneakers. Like I said, I was kind of skeptical. I didn't know if these would make it through the whole week up in Colorado, but they did, and they've continued to hold up. Not one stitch missing. Usually, you know, a lot of times this toe will come unglued, or now I know there were some reviews. I saw some reviews where this we'll see where this crease is, where this toe is. I saw some reviews where people were having issues with that tearing and wearing out, and having problems with that, and I can kind of see that, but it hadn't done it to my boot yet. No problems. For early season western hunting, it's a great boot. My biggest concern or con is durability. So far they've been great, but you can tell there's kind of a trade-off with a boot that's this light and that, you know, feels like a sneaker. It's not a leather boot. but I didn't expect it to be a crispy boot, you know, or a expensive leather boot. But also I've put on those expensive leather boots and they feel like you're wearing a brick sometimes. And this, like I said, this thing feels like a shoe. But I feel like there's a trade-off with durability with that. But yeah, that's my biggest concern is durability. We'll see. Hopefully they'll last me quite a bit longer, but overall I'm happy with this boot. I mean, it's worked out great for me. This wouldn't be a late season boot. You could wear it late season, you know, if you had the right socks. I mean, they do make an insulated version. This is the non-insulated, but I wanted the non-insulated boot, and I usually just run merino wool socks because most of the time, especially archery, elk season, I'm usually walking around quite a bit, and so my feet don't really get cold. When we were glassing, my feet never got cold, and I mean, it didn't get super cold. It got down in the high 20s at night. You know, it was relatively normal temps for first part of September up there. It's a breathable boot. My feet didn't get real hot and sweaty in this boot. Wearing that merino wool sock combined with this boot and those gaiters, I mean, it's probably the best experience that I've had in a piece of footwear up in the mountains. Those are some of the pros and cons. If you like this review, then check out this review I did of the outdoor pants that I wear, that I like to wear for hunting and fishing and hiking and work. Check that video out right here.